biggest fantasy is
not
you
even
cheating.
my biggest. It's like one of my fantasies.
Yes, yes. Prediction of the fucking year. Who called it? I called it. And let me remind you of how I called it. So a couple months ago, I was watching whatever clip, and there was a girl named Nala, and I watched her, and everybody's calling her a fucking psychopath and evil and a whore and a slut. And what I said in a video, this was a very, very popular video. It did like 50K views overnight. I said, I think she's a good girl. I think she lacks leadership. I think that in my personal experience, people who are lacking leadership act the fuck out and go fucking crazy. I think that's par for the course. I think it's normal. It resonates with everything that I've seen in my fucking life. And sure enough, just my own inner intuition, seeing that, I could see somebody who's resonating at a high vibe, who just wanted to be around a better man. If you look her up, she got a great boyfriend. You can look up this dude. He's an alpha male. He's super cool, great fucking guy. He's involved in the church, and it made sense that she changed. And a lot of people will look at that and go, oh, you know, she changed because she got older, whatever. Bullshit, okay? Listen, I've been going out for about 20 years now. I understand women at a very, very high level. I've met incredible women who, in the absence of great leadership, will go fucking crazy. And they have this thing it's called acting out. And the thing that I wanted to relay is that that's not just in women. I see that in staff members or male friends who are part of a leadership structure. The leadership, sometimes my leadership, if I'm being honest, goes weak and soft and limpish. And when I do that, great guys that I've worked with have just kind of randomly started acting out. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about the phenomenon of acting out, the importance of actual leadership. I want to talk a little bit about this idea of hypergamy and this idea that, you know, for example, they'll say that women seek out higher value guys, but I think that guys seek out higher value guys. Okay, and I'm not even just talking for gay sex. Men seek out higher value men. Men also seek out beautiful women or women that have value in different capacities. And I don't believe that hypergamy is just isolated to women. I think it is a human-to-human phenomenon. I've also been fucked over and stabbed in the back far worse by any guy that I ever had by a girl. Maybe girls like broke my heart. It's not like a dude that jacked me for millions of dollars or went fucking crazy. They do way more conniving bullshit. So it is a human-based phenomenon. And what I want to try to emphasize in this video, in the continuation both of the last hypergamy video that I just posted a couple days ago, but in addition to that, as a continuation to the Nala video that I posted back in the day, I want to emphasize this issue with whether it's men or women acting out is not going to be resolved at the level of shame. Okay, I used to have a joke where I would talk about the Nala video. I'd go, fuck a beta, Nala. Fuck a beta for me, Nala, is the basic frame that they would have in those shows. Like, dim your light and just go from some sucker fucking beta male so that I can feel better about myself and we're going to shame you into it. In my view, that's also a older version of religion that I think has no future whatsoever. And I'm not relating that with sex, but I'm relating that with shame. I think it's created a lot of religious trauma. I think it fucks people up. I think we have a very bright future when we understand what it means to step up, what real leadership is, and what it's going to take for men and women to come together. Now, I brought Sid on here, and Sid's just kind of listening to me riff like he's sometimes accustomed to doing, and he's going to have a lot to contribute to this because him and I have had a lot of different conversations about this. So he's going to be contributing his 2 cents into this. He's got a lot to say about it. And in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving you an instruction of how to handle hypergamy, both in women and men. It's not just a woman thing. It's a man thing too, in a way of looking at it. Same driver. If you're somebody who's sick of complaining, shaming, whining, and being a little bitch and just losing, are you sick of just losing and complaining? And maybe you're ready to go to the other side of winning and winning until you win so much you can't even handle it and things just go fucking awesome and you join the winning team and people treat you awesome and you deal with minimal bullshit and you learn from your lessons. Because I've learned from lessons and I fucked up. Sid has learned from lessons and he's fucked up. And we're going to share with you the lessons that we've learned and how to come across on the other side of it, where you don't hate hypergamy and you don't need to shame anybody. Rather, you see the advantage and opportunity in the fact that people like others that are high value, and you yourself will have that high value and understand how to lead. In which case, your experience is actually amazing because, frankly, complaints are for fucking losers. Losers complain. I've complained. I'm sure Sid at some points complained. We've all done it. That's called when we behave like losers. And what winners do is winners just win. Winners gonna win, losers gonna lose, but what winning means is having the right mental models. Now, if you also want to talk about the right mental models, the best place to get that I could ever mention to you is right there on the left. And that is the program, ta-da, Blueprint Reloaded. And inside the Blueprint Reloaded, it's a program that I worked on for about 5 years. Sid actually took that program about a half decade ago. He can give his thoughts on it. And what wound up happening was I taught this for about half a decade. It was about $5,000 to attend. And then what I would do is I paired that with online mentoring, and I would charge about anywhere from $3,700. Sometimes we had an 8K version, sometimes a 25K version. And what I do is I package these two programs together because, frankly, I'm not teaching the live version anymore. And we package this together inside Blueprint Reloaded. So this is a program that is exercise-based, OG social skills, old school, incredible ideas on how to make cash, incredible ideas on how to be happy, live the life of your dreams, spiritually tapped in, releasing trauma, motivation, all of that incredible content, how to gain energy from work, and really, really drilling down on mental models, cognitive models, getting rid of the old faulty blueprints in your brain, like we're gonna do today, and installing new blueprints, reloading them so that you win, exercise-based, community-based, having calls every single day inside of this program. By the way, we're going to be removing those eventually. But if you get in now, you're getting calls every single day. Direct access to me, access to Sid, and having an incredible community and accountability. It's just like being there live, but taught from anywhere in the world. It runs about 80 hours long. Best program I made in my life, in my opinion. Rave reviews. Get inside Blueprint Reloaded. Incredible. Change your life starting right now, okay? I'll see you inside Blueprint Reloaded, and what that's gonna do is take you to the promised land based on the ideas that we share here today, okay? So hop on in there, and let's get into it. So I'm gonna kind of kick into this, and I'm gonna have Sid also pipe in, basically on this idea of hypergamy and something that we call RAS flips. So see, I don't think of hypergamy necessarily as like hypergamy girls, kind of like how you see a lot of people talk about it, which is fair enough. Fair enough how they talk about it. I think it is good content. I think of it as the fundamental nature of DNA to lie to oneself, to rationalize, and basically there's a full picture there. And if somebody likes you, they pedestalize you, and their reticular activation system focuses on the good in you if they see the value, and it probably ignores the bad. But then what happens is that if you show that you're low value, they overly focus on the bad, ignore the good, and then they leave. This is why an ugly guy can have a lot of success in dating, because if the value's there, the fact that he's ugly gets wiped out, and the fact that he has a couple good qualities gets focused in on. But then, that same guy, or maybe a guy with a lot of good qualities, if he has low value, they'll focus on the negative ones, okay? And this can be a dynamic shift inside relationships that occur. And unless you have an understanding of this, you don't know how to manage hypergamy. The reason that I say that men do this too, men hella do this over money, rip each other off, stab each other in the back, talk shit on each other, make nasty videos about each other on the internet, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's not just isolated to women. This is a human being phenomenon, okay? It's guy, girl, and we consider complaining about it. But I've watched incredible people who I love dearly fall into hypergamy or fall into RAS lists, people that are really, really good people. And frankly, I blame my own weak leadership on that. And I have friends that have had weak leadership. And so at a certain point, you've got to make a decision. You can sit there going, female nature, hypergamy, rah. You can do that and shame, thinking that you're going to do what happened in the 1950s, where we collectively shame women into, being in the kitchen and just dating a beta male and all that kind of stuff. But the cat's out of the bag, yo. It's over, okay? You're not going to shame women out of hypergamy anymore. It's not going to happen. Any more than you yourself are not going to be shamed out of living the life that you want or liking women that are attractive. If you're a guy watching this or if you're a girl watching this and vice versa. The cat's not going back in the bag. So knowing that we're not going to shove the cat back in the bag any more than that we're going to get rid of the internet or any more than we're not going to get rid of AI, knowing that hypergamy is here to stay, all of the issues that you see talked about in the different podcasts are here to stay, in my view, the next step in that conversation is, yes, to screen for maybe better quality partners and whatnot. Sure, absolutely. Screening, seeing their values, knowing who they are, of course. Screening better, great. But another component is just saying, why aren't you the guy that has everybody interested in you? I mean, why aren't you the guy that runs that good business that everybody wants to be a part of? And fundamentally, even if you're not the top guy, why aren't you that guy that has leadership within your own frame? Rather than trying to be anywhere from a 1 to a 10, why not make a shift to become what we will call 1 of 1? And so that if people do have synergy with you and they connect with you, they can enter into your frame where you are 1 of 1, and then you exert that leadership. Now, I'm going to get Sid's take on this, and then the direction that we're going to veer this in is rather than complaining about hypergamy. And look, I've had crazy shit happen. Sid has had crazy shit happen. We've been on the receiving end of more hypergamy from men and women than not. I can speak for myself here because I've not known every experience Sid's had. I've probably had more bad end of the hypergamy stick of every viewer combined at my age from 20 years of going out. I've been there. I've seen it. I felt the frustration. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it from guys and girls. I am a bukkake hole gangbang of hypergamy in every orifice I have. Orifices that I didn't know that I had in skin follicles. Hypergamy, okay? I get it. It hurts. I've cried. I've been sad. I've been mad. All the things that you've been, I've been. And in the end, you sit there and you say, well, who's the common denominator here? Do I want to keep being pissed off about this, or do I want to get on the other side of it and turn a negative to a positive? And I get it that you're frustrated. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. But if you listen to me right here, okay? If you listen to me, if you do, you will not only not be mad about hypergamy or RAS flips, or the fact that guys do it as well, it's men and women. You will actually realize, wait a minute, I could be a 5 and bring someone in my life that's a 10 by understanding this. I could be a regular guy, build a business, and have hundreds, if not thousands of people come to work for me. They all make 80K, 120K. I make hundreds of millions because I led. So you don't like hypergamy when you, as a 5 in appearance, could attract 10s in your life en masse? You, as a regular person, can make hundreds. I've done over 100 million in sales. Can do hundreds of million in sales. I'll probably do over 1 billion in sales over my lifetime. You can do that, and other people will come be a part of your structure and thank you for being a part of your structure, and it makes you mad, or do you want to learn to lead? And so what we're going to show you is not taking away from the different podcasts talking about hypergamy and saying, oh, that's bad. I'm not shaming them either. Great information. But what I'm saying is you want to sit here being mad and go, fuck a beta, Nala. Fuck those betas, Nala. Or can we look at Nala and we say, when she got an amazing guy, she changed. She stopped acting out exactly like I predicted. Okay? Okay? I'm not normally one to like call it. I normally like to be a little above fact. I'm just going to be classy. But no classy. I called it. I'm not classy. I told y'all what were the odds of that out of all the girls on whatever, I picked the good one. Out of the thousands, I'm not being classy about this, okay? No classiness at all. Tacky. I win, okay? Tacky. Out of all the girls on whatever, somehow, thousands of them that probably didn't go get baptized, and we were able to spot the high vibe one with massive potential and knew that with the right leader, she would change. How did I know that? 20 fucking years of this shit. Same as that other video I posted the other day where I called the guy, I said he has apathy, and he had the apathy tattoo on his chest. I'm not psychic, but I look that way because I'm like a deer tracker looking at the deer poop, looking at the deer tracks. I tracked this shit for 20 fucking years. I know a good one. I know one with potential. And I saw it. My eye fucking saw it. I called it. No classy. Tacky, tacky, tacky. Yes. Okay? Just kidding. Can I take that back? Is this live? Okay? No, just a cool little thing happened. No big deal. No big deal. You know, pick one in like 15,000, but hey, no big deal. Okay? I know. Okay? Because I've been doing this. Now, trying to hype you up a little bit here. Okay? Trying to get you excited. Trying to get you engaged. Sid and I have been having. I'm just killing Sid here, just sitting here, right? Being good about it. But we've had conversations. Well, I'm trying to follow this shit up. Yeah. Okay, but we've had conversations about this for like years now about RAS flips, hypergamy, rationalization, and what we keep coming back to is like, yo, you gotta just lead. Mm-hmm. You gotta just fucking lead. Yeah. So I'd like to get your take on how fucked up the whole RAS flip thing is and like the phenomenon of it, And then let's go down with specific instructions on how to be a leader where you benefit from this phenomenon, make millions, date better people, attract higher quality people, and stop being a little bitch.
Yeah, I got it. So what's interesting about what he's saying is that there's always a fork in the road. You're either going to get bitter or get better. And the individuals that are actually exerting leverage on those people around them, aka they have the value and people are putting their best foot forward for those individuals, people that are actually winning and people that are actually creating the right life situation, or they've built themselves up to the point where other people around them are viewing them in with more halo effect and actually see them as that quote unquote beacon of hope. Those individuals aren't the individuals who are bitter about this. It's always the individuals that are not willing to audit their value, to see where they actually have potency and value to offer other people, to their ability to take their head out of their own ass and see where an individual or what an individual would see in them, and then their ability to rise up. It's always the individuals that are not doing the work who are getting the worst foot forward from other individuals around them.
Yeah, like I'm really sure Dan Bilzerian and Hugh Hefner are sitting there crying about hypergamy all day.
Yeah, they're too busy winning. They're too busy living their life. So you want to be that individual who doesn't think about this stuff because your value is so clear. Your life is so much in flow. Your life is in the fast lane to the point where you don't have the time, energy, or focus to complain about this stuff in your head. So that's where things start. Now, when it comes to him looking at that girl, he's able to read her like that and see and pick her out of the needle in the haystack as somebody who would undergo that change, somebody who needed that leadership because he has deep emotional anchors towards these issues. He's undergone, he's seen a lot of people. We've dealt with a lot of clients. We've seen a lot of individuals in dating over the years who've had RES flips, and we've seen that, as he said before, through men who've had RES flips in a business context, usually to do with a money dispute. Now, when you're not aware of this, when you're not dealing with thousands of people, what will begin to happen to you? You'll be confused. You'll completely be oblivious. You'll get taken advantage of. You'll have no boundaries. People will view you as being weak, and you can create your own personal. You can spend millions and millions of dollars building assets around yourself, having a mansion, having a Lamborghini. Surrounding yourself with all the trappings that you think are going to help you. But if psychologically you don't understand how to deal with the individuals around you and you don't know how to present your value towards them in a way that's relatable for them, then you will still be at the mercy of another individual's RES flips. You can do all this. You can exert all your energy building up a business, getting money, getting the mansion, get all these things that I talked about, but you will still be at the mercy of another individual flipping on you like at the drop of a hat.
And how, by the way, and by the way, check the audio there, John, so in case we're peaking because we're going so crazy today. So if it's capping at all, you let us know, okay? We can always pull it away. Should he pull it away from his mouth, or how are we doing here? You just let us know, okay?
Not bad.
Well, you just let us...
A little distance.
Okay, so from there, Sid, how would you describe what it looks like when you see, whether it's a girl or a business partner, having an RS flip? I mean, you're in mergers and acquisitions as well. Mm-hmm. So how would you describe that in a mergers and acquisitions world or in dating when you start sensing them distancing themselves and then having the RS flip? So I want to describe it because if people didn't see the past videos, I want them to see what it looks like, and then we'll go into the leadership.
It looks like an obliviousness that they have. You're like, okay, I you know in your mind, because you have a sunk cost bias towards how much value you've offered an individual in a business context. For instance, I had one instance where I had a CFO, for example, and he started just not replying to messages or seeming cranky or seeming irritated or not focusing on the wins that we need to get. And it was very confusing because you've offered a lot of value to an individual, and to see them completely like amnesia, not being able to focus on what we need to do, even though it would benefit them. And you can see the things you're doing are going to benefit them, but all of a sudden they can't see it. So and this happens in that individual's case, and we'll get to this later. They didn't have enough. They just needed a little bit of competition anxiety, and they were able to get back on track. In a dating context, it's extremely confusing because you probably think if you got a mansion, if you threw parties, if you were in the Hollywood Hills, that like, your life is just going to get perfect. And that is not necessarily the case. You can be in our life situation and have an individual be just as negative towards you as you might be experiencing in your whatever situation you're in. So it's extremely confusing. You see individuals get an amnesia where they can't see the value that you're offering to them, and they all of a sudden act in ways that are completely irrational. They act in ways that emotionally fill you with cortisol and make you feel bad. And then that causes you to chase them more, and which in turn further distances them because they don't want to be around an individual that seems needy, even though you're trying to reconcile the situation. So really it becomes a negative feedback loop, which feeds on itself and leads into a downward spiral.
Yeah, and the thing is, the way that I would describe it is that you start seeing acting out that is so psychotic and irrational, and it's literally just them testing the frame like a baby. It's like a child testing the frame, okay? Now, what I want you to understand, like where this is coming from, I understand that this pisses you off. So I looked at the live comments on the last video that I did about hypergamy, and you saw a lot of different guys that were saying, it's not worth it. If I've got to learn all these different skills, it's not fucking worth it for me to do it. I'd rather be alone or rather not run a business or whatever. And kind of a theme of the juice is not worth the squeeze. And I completely understand how somebody might feel that way. Here would be the best way that I would put it to you. If you are a 5, okay? Now, if you look at myself, you could make a strong argument of 5. Some bald, chubby, gray-bearded, high voice, autistic 44-year-old. Like that, you can make a decent argument that's like a 4. Like, you know, maybe the Looksmax guys might put me in they're like 1, and that's on you. That's just because you're Tyler, you know, right? So it's like, you know, so now, you know, you're running around, say, dating models, or, you know, you're a regular guy, just living your life, maybe doing information products and seminars, and you do over $100 million in sales. That doesn't just happen, right? Like if you've done $100 million in sales, you can't start crying that people have an RAS flip if you're not holding frame. If you're dating famous models, you can't start crying that they had an RAS flip on you. Like that's not realistic. It wasn't as though you were out giving you know, free turkey dinners to a homeless person. They had an RAS flip, and you're like, hey, what's going on, right? It wasn't like you were, you know, running down to Dunkin' Donuts and, you know, picking a 380-pound grandmother, and then she had an RAS flip on you, right? So typically what happens is that in business, you want to work with other people that are really, really talented, and maybe they're willing to come under the umbrella of your leadership. Maybe you're working with clients who, you know, maybe they're even newer, but they value their money. Like, what if you took a program with me and you value your money? And let's say that it wasn't even a lot of money to me, but it's a lot of money to you. Let's say that you flew here to LA. We sometimes do events literally right up here at the crib. Let's say you get inside Blueprint Reloaded. We're doing coaching in there. So you like me as a person. You're like, Owen, I like you, bro. Like, you know, I wish you the best. I have love for you. I wish good things on you and your family. And let's say that you spend a little bit of money to jump in my program, which I'd love you to do. I'd love to see you inside. Or maybe you flew here, you did a training with me. And then I show up and I look like a weak leader. And I don't really have a direction for the course that we're taking. And maybe there's other people in the room that start acting out, and I don't tell them to shut the fuck up so that we can all collectively have a good experience. I just tolerate it, and then other people start disrupting your experience. So now you fly all the way to LA, you spend money on it, you give me money, but then I go, and I don't even want to put this image in your mind. I'm never going to do this, I promise. I'll do the opposite of this. But the point is that I'm up at the front, I've received your money, but meanwhile, I don't keep the room on track. I'm in a bad mood. I don't anchor the room to positive vibes. I don't have a direction that I'm leading us in. And I also kind of look like I need your money a little too much. Like maybe you're like my only client. And I'm like, oh, will you keep buying stuff? And you're like, I will. And I like you, but like, why do you need my money so bad? Does no one else like you? And so you start to fucking get a little bit freaked out by it, right? Or I don't know, imagine that you're, say, a woman. Okay, put yourself in a woman's shoes if you're a man. And you're getting invitations on private jets, better looking guys, richer guys, funnier guys, maybe more emo, like the guy from Twilight or whatever the fuck, right? You have all this different attention from men. And a lot of even very regular women have that kind of attention. They have a lot of different optionality. And you know that whoever you choose to sleep with, you're basically giving up a lot of, like, there's all these different reality tunnels that you could go down, whether it's financial, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's emotions, right? Maybe the guy's a fucking poet, reads fucking poetry all day. You know, maybe the guy's a master at oral sex and just, you know, goes down and he's just down there for 5 hours and you're not. You know what I mean, right? So it's like when you say, I just want you to be my girlfriend, it's like, it's not just this innocent little thing where you're saying, I just want you to be my girlfriend. What you're saying is, I don't want someone to go down on you for 5 hours. I don't want you to go on a private plane to Hawaii. I don't want you to live in a giant mega mansion. I don't want you to have that jack guy with the tattoos and the steroids. I don't want you to have that rock star, that rapper. I don't want you to have that, maybe that guy that loves you more than me. Maybe he's a regular guy. I've been done for a lot of regular guys, just being honest with you, that just love the girl more than I did, I guess. I think I loved them the same, but, you know, showed it a little bit better than I did, gave a little bit more attention. You know, so you're saying, no, get less attention from a man, whatever the case, right? Maybe someone who's more committal than I would have been. There's kind of a lot of those, right? So, you know, it's just tattoos, right? But the point being is that you're not just saying, oh, just be my girlfriend. You know, if you're a girl, you're not just saying be my boyfriend or same-sex partner, whatever it would be, whoever's watching this. You know, if I say, hey, spend a little bit of money with me, I'm not saying, hey, just spend, like, hey, it's like all innocent. Just like, take the course. It's just fun. Yeah. I'm saying don't get that TV to experience the fucking course. Don't go on that trip to Jamaica so that you can do the fucking course. That's what I'm saying. So in doing so, why are we mad about something like hypergamy when, you know, or the fact that people have RAS flips when you yourself are asking from a deal from them that regular people wouldn't get? And I'll be real with you too, like something that I had to kind of figure out. I remember when I first started teaching all this crazy stuff, right? And I would see it where, for example, this is kind of like a weird one. It's kind of creepy, but I have empathy for it. So I remember one time I asked this guy from a ride from New York City to Montreal. And this guy just gives me a ride. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And so I open up the glove box, and it turns out that he's recording the entire conversation. And I felt genuinely offended that, you know, I think we're having like a real connection here, and he's been recording the entire conversation. And I'm like, why would he record the entire conversation? But then I think about it, I'm like, well, do normal people get a ride from a stranger of like a 5-hour drive or whatever it is from New York to Montreal? No, he's looking to get something for himself out of this. So God forbid, maybe he wanted some notes that he probably wasn't planning to share. Little creepy to me. And I'm not saying to do that. I appreciate if you don't. But I get it why he would do that, right? So I felt so used and abused and, you know, I felt frustrated. But I'm not putting myself in the mindset that like when someone is being nicer to you than you would normally get, they want an outcome for themselves as well. And this is what I think a lot of the hypergamy conversations are missing is we can get mad at the fact that, like, you know, for example, let's say that you're dating someone, their looks are kind of stable. So your love for them, because their kind of sexual market value stays relatively stable, your love often, in many cases, will stay relatively stable. But because you have the ability to elevate or lose your status so quickly based on a lot of the stuff that we teach you here, sometimes what happens is, especially if you're a little bit newer at this, but I've even done this as a veteran, and very embarrassing, and I've done it, and I'm sure Sid's done it, you can do and it happens to the best of us. You know, you fall in love and you make mistakes. You get a little weak, and you know, there's good sides of falling in love, but it also can create issues. You have to know that kind of going into it, and you fuck up. And what winds up happening is you lose some of that status. And then, you know, you say to yourself, oh, well, I wasn't really loved, and only my mother can love me like that, and it's all what I do for the person. But was it really just what you do for them? Or was it the fact that you were shutting down their optionality and demanding a huge amount of volume of their attention and time and loyalty, and you didn't bring the fucking goods? How would you have felt if that person got super fat or something like that?
Yeah, I view it like different portals. Like, imagine there's like a portal in front of you, and the person you're trying to engage with can jump inside the portal and see right into your reality. Is your portal going to be like an empty cave with just like a little bit of cold water dripping, and it's just like empty and there's cobwebs and it sucks? Or are they going to go into the rapper's portal where they're just having fun and they're state pumping and they're and they're just, you know, dancing and they're having a good time? Or are they going to go into like the poet's portal? Like, what portal are they going into? What reality are they going into? And if your reality sucks, you can't blame them for not wanting to come along with that, especially if it's in a dating context because they're going with their emotions. But in any context, think about the way your behavior is. Do you go into portals or frames that you don't want to be in? Chances are you don't.
Yeah, like say, again, Blueprint Reloaded as an example. Hop on in there. You want to talk about a portal to hop into, you want to see a real portal, hop inside Blueprint Reloaded. And the fact that I put 5 years into that, 80 hours, thousands and thousands in editing, every single day phone calls, access to me, incredible community. Anyone who's causing shit in the community, we wouldn't have them in the community. So there's boundaries around it. And you see people in there making money, having better social skills, much, much happier. Well, doesn't that make you feel like what if I came at you and I said, the only reason you love me is what I did for you? And it's like, bro, like, Owen, I do like you. I think you're cool, bro. But if you're asking me to sign up in your program, could you at least bring the motherfucking goods? Like, so it's like, say that I invite you to a party, right? Here in the Hollywood Hills. And I said, hey, we're all going to chip in on it. And I got you to chip in $1,000. Sometimes we do parties here, maybe it costs like 10, 20K. So maybe I get a group of like 10 or 20 of my friends together. We chip in like $1,000 each. We do a little party up here. And then you chip in $1,000, you get here and it's like, I've ordered some Pizza Hut, a 6-pack of beer. And I don't know, it's like me and 6 of my dude friends and like, I don't know, my aunt. Right? And I'm like, are you judging me that you don't love me? Like, why don't you love the party? Like, why don't you love me? Like, bro, I love you. Owen, I'd be happy to hang out with you and your boys and your aunt, but give me back the $1,000. Right?
Expectations were violated.
Yeah, it's like, if you're dating someone, that girl who really does love you would be happy to be your friend, but you said to her, no, I don't just want to be your friend. I want you to commit the biological act, but even if you use condom or contraceptives or whatever, diaphragm, however you're doing it, but you're doing the biological act of reproducing with her. So what you're basically saying is I demand 18 years to raise my fucking offspring, while biologically to me it's like a 30-second act if I was doing it as short as I could. Maybe shorter if you're quick on the draw. And right, and so it's like, so we're sitting here bitching about hypergamy. Why are you bitching about hypergamy when what you could be doing instead is just thinking about how to add more value? And it's not look, I have ex-girlfriends who, we were friends. We had a genuine connection, a real friendship, and it wasn't based on value. We were genuinely friends. Later, it escalated into something sexual and into a romantic relationship. And then, unfortunately, in places where I failed to lead, they kind of hated me by the end of it. Why'd they do that? It's because biologically they have an RAS flip. I could be doing 99 things well, 1 thing bad, but I did fail to lead in a fair, dumb way. And then as a result of that, their focus shifts as a way to preserve them from getting impregnated by a beta to that 1% thing, makes them hate me temporarily, and maybe for a year or two they think I'm a fucking dickhead. They get a new boyfriend, they move on, and then maybe we bump into each other through mutual friends down the road, and that's happened with many of my exes, and we wind up being great friends. Because I'm not saying, let's do the act where you're raising my kids. Hopefully by that time, I've also kind of stepped myself up. Sometimes they've kind of taken a step back in some cases. And so reestablishes a bit of value asymmetry. And what happens is that we become great friends. And there's a real friendship there. They did love me. They had love for me. Like many of my exes had love for me unconditionally. But when I failed to lead, they walked away from that situation. And I can blame them all day. And sometimes I did feel betrayed and I felt upset. But at the end of the day, I can feel upset, I can feel betrayed, or I can look at myself, see myself as a common denominator. This is not about shaming myself. It's about me saying, I don't want this just to keep happening. So, it's like and I'm at a fork in the road. It's like I can either go on a podcast and I can literally sit there and be like, Nala's a giant hoe. She said that she would cheat. Go fuck a beta, Nala. And I can just do that and be pissed and I can join that camp. Or I can kind of iterate and say, okay, well, maybe I'm not a natural kind of dude, who'd be dating someone like that, but I've worked my way into it where I'm more and more comfortable with it by every year and have better experience with it every year. And then I get to the point that from my mistakes, I've had a learning curve. And then now all of a sudden you start to see your exes that maybe stab you in the back in some way as, wait a minute, you put up with a lot of bullshit from me in my learning curve. Frankly, you thought that you were getting someone who was stable as a leader when I was kind of easing into it. You pieced out, that's okay, but you gave me a chance to get a little bit of practice and thank you. And it's the same thing, maybe you start running a business and your leadership wasn't totally dialed in. Maybe you're not fucking Elon Musk, you're learning on the fly. And maybe someone comes in and is employed by you and they're in your frame. And then at some point, they realize that you're not leading properly. They don't see a vision. We're going to talk later in this video in great detail about how to see that vision. But the point is that they see that you're a little bit off base. And what winds up happening is they leave. And then you're mad at them. You feel betrayed. But here's the thing. The reason that they have that RES flip is because the fact that you assume the leadership role, you ask them to merge into your frame. You are not in their frame. They adopted your frame as a leader. That, by the way, that's what all of attraction basically is in many cases, right? It's literally just having a strong frame, adoption of your frame. You view yourself as a 10, then they view you as a 10. You view having some little bit of fun is kind of fun. Doing it quickly is fun. They go with that frame. They take your lead. Well, when they go to exit from your frame, it's kind of like unindoctrinating themselves out of like some weird group or something like that, right? Like they've got to come back. Like they may have shifted their values to adopt your values. They've shifted their lifestyle to be in your lifestyle. They've made a lot of concessions for you. Somebody that came to work for you, left another job, maybe moved, took on your mission as theirs, even though it's your business. You have all the equity in the business. They don't. You get the equity. You get the bulk of the money if you're running it properly. They do not. And then surprise, surprise, you're mad when they have an RS flip. Well, why'd they have an RS flip? It might be because they really fucking love you and they were really fucking ride or die for you. And frankly, you're beta shit, and mine pointing, okay, when I do this, there's 3 fingers pointed at me, okay? And, and your beta shit scared the fuck out of them, and so they had to pull themselves out of it. You weren't in their frame. So you can see it objectively, like, well, I still love you, like, I still see the good in you. But what happened was, they were in your frame. They had to find the strength to get out of it because the fact that they're going with your leadership means that they're listening to you and you're saying, I'm awesome and never leave, never quit.
Yeah, and that's why the RES flips are often aggressive or negative, is because they have to find the strength to leave your frame. So if they go deep into your frame and they realize that you were weak and that they can't trust you and biologically they might be a consequence because of that, then they have to aggressively rationalize and get away, and which is why the RES flip tends to be negative. But the answer always unequivocally is build your value back up. You always have to point the finger back at you and audit where you're weak and build it back up. Not saying that they might be RES flipping for, some reason that might be messed up, but you always have to point the finger at yourself. Whenever there's that fork in the road, build your value back up. And what's interesting is we'll move on to the next.
Or
text.
Fuck a beta. Nala's a big hoe.
Yeah, YouTube comments. But the next thing is one of the most important things, especially from a business context. And if you're dealing with RES flips in your business, whether it's staff, clients, so on and so forth, is that you have you talked about leadership and building your value up, but as far as a leader in business, you need to have a very, very crystal clear, exciting vision that you are moving towards, a positive direction that you're moving towards that everybody else gets bought into. Now, why is this important? Because when it comes to business and having value, when people see that you have a clear direction moving forward and the picture is clear and they feel that this is going to have a positive impact on their life, this also keeps their winner effect high. It keeps them in a positive state. It keeps them in a flow state. The other side of this, the stick, so to speak, not the carrot, is that you want to have a way to hold people accountable from a business standpoint. But when it comes to preventing RES flips, if people feel that vision gets muddled, or you're moving in too many directions, or they're not able to establish clear steps in their mind or a clear path in their mind on where the next few years are headed, then oftentimes you're going to see individuals take that lack of clarity and use it as ammo and rationalizations and excuses to now find a different path. And maybe RES flip on you, find a different job, find a different business that can do the same service, so on and so forth. Yeah. And maybe you have more value to offer than another business does, but because you weren't more clear than that other business, they will still go to the inferior value of that other business because they had more clarity.
Yeah, and you know what I'm thinking is, like, we're about 39 minutes into this. Why don't we run this about an hour and talk about empathy for someone who's going through an RES flip? So that way and then what we'll do is we'll do a sequel to this video in a couple days, and we'll actually show the leadership come out. So we promise you the leadership, now you're pissed at me. RES flip, right? Yeah. I'm out of your frame. But I want to go a little bit deeper on the empathy for it, and because I think I believe that the leadership content that we have is so fucking strong and potent that I actually want to lead in with it. I want to actually make that as a lead. Yeah. So let's go a little bit deeper, okay? So part of the problem that I see happening, and I've seen this in myself, and okay, these are a lot of things that I'm not proud of. So these are lessons that I'm going to share that embarrass me. I'm not proud of them. These are low points for me, and I just hope that you can learn from them, and I've tried to learn from them as best I can, okay? Well, this is like going into some sad stories and sad times. Okay, so I've had it where, I've seen this in myself where when I really, really start to fall in love with somebody, rather than being the best version of me, which is, I'm trying to be maybe a little more heroic, which I think every guy should have the ability to do that. Have your little Superman cape on. I feel like every guy has the ability to do that. I start to feel like the real me that I want her to love is the lowest version of me. And so I've done it where I kind of like test the waters by, talking about dumb things that I did in past relationships, or, showing a lot of beta male components of myself, or, talking about all my weaknesses in depth. And I guess like for me, it's a little bit like a reverse shit test, because I have that fear that if I'd have kids with somebody, that if I was ever weakened, that, the real me is the weaker old version of me. And if I ever lost that they would leave. And so I'll test and test and test and test. And I've had it with like, women that like really were ride or die for me. And because I have that kind of like underlying sort of like podcastish belief of like hypergamy and this and that, and I'm kind of scared of it, I wind up poking at that thing too much, and inevitably it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've lost amazing women out of my life, and many of them I'm friends with now, and we have great friendships. And I, to be honest, could get back together with them, I think, pretty easily, just because we have a great connection and I've improved, and they're able to see that. And I appreciate them seeing that, and I love these girls. But the point being is like, I've poked at that. And I think there's sort of a balance here, because obviously you want to be around someone who's ride or die. You want to find someone who hopefully doesn't have too much trauma, perhaps has good relationship with their parents. But even some people can can power through that, but it can help, but they can power through it. Somebody with a spiritual relationship, somebody who's not total attention whore, right? And there's a lot of talk about that, like find somebody who's more likely to be loyal to you, or more likely to be a good mother, or in business, somebody who's not maybe like, shit talking their old boss, or negative, or irresponsible. So clearly there is an element of screening that takes place, okay? Mm-hmm. Clearly there is. So, that kind of goes back to the Nala thing, right? This girl, Nala, she's doing OnlyFans, right? Are you just giving her a pass for that? People are asking for that, but I could really see the good in her. I'm really good at reading people. Point being is that I have had it where I've tested the waters too much. And I think that we as guys, particularly, we're looking for that deep, loyal love that our mother gave us, this unconditional love, like the change the diapers kind of love, puke on them and burp on them kind of love, be a beta kind of love, suck that titty kind of love, right? It's like we get ejected out of the pussy, we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back in there, right? We want to get back in this kind of oceanic feeling of the womb of unconditional love. Now, what we learn, in a lot of the podcasting communities, and I've taught this for many years, is that a lot of that unconditional love is actually reserved for the child. Okay, so women have the same amount of unconditional love in them as you have. In fact, I'd argue potentially a lot more, because I think as guys, we just like want to climb a mountain or like, kill an animal. And he'd definitely want to kill an animal, but my point, because it's in hunting. But we have often less unconditional love in some ways, but we often say that women direct it at their children. I even believe that a lot of women will give you pretty damn close to unconditional love. Pretty damn close. But I'd say to you, like, again, if your girlfriend suddenly became repulsively unattractive, never shaved, got a bunch of acne, like compulsively that she didn't have before, like things like that, how would that make you feel? Would that make you feel very loved? So see, the best part about being a guy is you can go from a 2 to a 10 fast. Like you really, really, really can. But the hardest part about being a guy is that you can go from a 10 to a negative 10 also very, very fast, right? So a lot of the attraction mechanism is based on being pedestalized or depedestalized, right? Like idealized or demonized. So this is sort of like a weird, harsh thing that we deal with. It's a harsh reality where it's like this person that we want unconditional love from and that we want to raise children with goes from idealizing us to depedestalizing us or demonizing us, and then their personality totally changes. We get super burned, And then we see them have the RAS flip, they leave, and you wind up leaving very, very, very burned. My thought about this is, if we're gonna see men and women come back together, we've got to acknowledge what attraction really is. We've got to acknowledge how a man's value fluctuates. We've got to acknowledge what are RAS flips, what is pedestalization and depedestalization, and then rather than just being mad about it, and this isn't to make excuses for someone being a dick to you, but rather than being mad about it, why don't you lean into it in the same way that if I do a seminar with you, I'm gonna crush it. If I invite you to a party, the party's gonna be fucking sick. I don't sit here with Sid going, how come they don't give me a G for a party and like, we can't just eat hot dogs with my aunt? Like, that's not the conversation level that we wanna have. Yeah. We're thinking how to add value to you. I'm not sitting there with Blueprint Reloaded going, how do I not put 80 hours of 5 years of work into it? I'm saying, how do I add fucking value to it? So why don't we shift that conversation to what is the other person experiencing and how much does it suck for them when they're in your fucking frame, they're adopting your leadership, and they're really, really listening to you, and they're kind of letting you hijack their brain a little bit in a way that kind of builds chemistry and is fun, and then you fuck it up, and you're mad about it. Mm-hmm. So what's the quality conversation that we want to have? And then from there, and again, we're going to go much deeper in the next video, but I'm just trying to build a little bit of empathy. And look, I know this is hard. I know this video won't be popular. I know this video will get a lot of misinterpretations under it, and people can't take the nuanced point. I know that a lot of people's thinking is programmed at a level of fuck a beta nala, shame, 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 and oh, you're making excuses and embracing the liberal left or whatever. I know that you're thinking that. I believe that instead, a better world is for guys just not to be fucking pussies, okay? Why don't we build a world like that? It is it's less time, less energy, and then you become a millionaire and you crush it and you win and everybody wins. We're not putting the hypergamy genie back in the bottle. Nala's not gonna fuck a beta, bro. You're not gonna be a beta and just get cuddled and suck on that titty. That's done. Tinder's out. Internet's out, Instagram's out, society's moved forward, equal pay, it's over. It's over. So we know it's over. We've revealed that, podcasts to talk about it, great, good information, now we get it. Are we gonna cry about it? Or are we all gonna have a little bit of fun, okay?
Yeah. I mean, a framework to help is authenticity versus relatability. So you having the hot dog with the beer and your aunt party with 8 people, and that might be authentic to you, but that's not being relatable to where that person's DNA is at when they have invested $1,000 into an event. No different than with in a dating context. You can't beat the DNA. The DNA always wins. Nature always wins, and it's tough to accept that you have to change your authentic self a little bit or make your authentic self better in order to become more relatable to someone's DNA. And by relatable, we mean building your value up in whatever context, business or dating. But it's a hard thing to accept for a lot of people because they feel like, as we said before, they want to be coddled by their mommy. But you have to look at what nature really is. Go watch a nature documentary and watch the lion eat the buffalo and stuff like that. Go look at the savageness of it. Because make no mistake, individuals who have an RAS flip on you will tell you everything that you want to hear. They might coddle you, but you'll never actually get the result. You know what I mean by that? A girl you're dating or somebody you're dating, they might tell you, you're amazing, this or that, but then you're in the friend zone. You never actually dated them. You never actually got a tangible result out of it. Somebody might tell you your business idea is amazing or your product or service is amazing, but you didn't close them. So at the end of the day, the DNA is going to, it's black and white. Either it's you form that win-win with that person where you're actually getting results or you're not.
Mm-hmm. And keep going for a second. I took a couple of notes on this. I just want to make sure we got all the notes in.
Yeah, it's hard to accept because it feels like you want mommy. Someone's not accepting you for the core of quote unquote who you really are. But the key is you have to come into acceptance with it. Otherwise, you will always be at the mercy of, of competing forces. And if you look at where, especially in the dating context, look at where culture is going. Look at where technology is going. Look at where AI is going. Look at where just the fact that social media has made things even more polarizing to where it's getting harder to compete in certain ways. If you're not building your value up, you will get left behind. That is for goddamn sure.
Yeah, so what I would say to you is, okay, so another one, I just wrote this down because this is a very, very common objection that I've gotten throughout all my time teaching this. So a lot of guys that I talk to say it's just too much. I don't want to have to be with someone where I'm always having to maintain frame. I almost wish you would have let in with that because I know a lot of people have clicked off by now, but it's actually I want to do the leadership part a little bit later because people will click off this even in the video, and the leadership stuff's going to be so off the fucking chain. So be excited for the next video in a couple of days. Now, the common feedback is and let's even address this early in the next video too. But it's like I just don't have the energy to maintain frame like this. I don't even feel connected to someone if I have to maintain frame. That is a bullshit fucking view. Let me tell you why. When I'm running a seminar, I'm going to probably get a little bit repetitious and redundant in the next video because it's so key. When I'm running a seminar, I've got 30 people in a room, say it's up here on a training, right? As an example. Some of them are huge. And everybody's on their best fucking behavior. It's amazing what incredible behavior people are on. And so I'm getting a version of all those, let's say it's a small one up here, 30 people up here. I'm getting the 10 out of 10 version of them. Now, I've joked with them in the audience when I've taught them this. I'm like, how many of you in this room are sometimes a total dickhead to your friends? How many of you in this room are even a dickhead to your parents who did more for you than I ever did, but you treat me better than you treat your own fucking parents? Or maybe have people in your life that have given you more and you treat me better. Well, why is that? It's because one is I'm leading. Number two is I built some kind of value to where the buyer-seller dynamic is that the people in the audience want me to teach them more than I need their money. And number three, they know that if they act up or show bad behavior, that I'm probably gonna ask them to leave. And while I'd be disappointed to see them go, I will literally continue on in that seminar like nothing ever happened. I'll forget they exist. I'll move on. It doesn't matter. So they are willing to exert more evolutionary pressure on themselves to be on better behavior. And you see this in romantic relationships where, when someone's really into you, it's almost like they can generate the physical arousal to hook up, or they generate the focus to, cook and clean or make a lot of money or whatever. Like they actually engage at a higher level and you get a better version out of them, okay?
And they enjoy it more.
And they enjoy it more, right? Like if you go to the Playboy Mansion and you meet Hugh Hefner and you're like, Mr. Hefner, it's so cool to be here. Thank you for inviting me into your reality. And you've gone in that reality tunnel and you want to be a part of that reality tunnel. You will actually have a better time versus if you go to a shitty party. You literally walk in that party, start smashing things on the ground, and then you even say the party sucks. And I've done parties here that didn't have that kind of leadership or boundary, and I mentioned this last video, where literally I've watched guys, like this was years ago before I understood this, pull their dicks out, and they just start pissing on the floor. This has to be understood. Human beings, in absence of some kind of leadership, will just start acting out. They start stealing, fucking, cheating, going crazy, saying crazy shit, not making any fucking sense. Yeah. So when you see Nala going, I just want to cheat, that's acting out when there's a lack of leadership. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't have potential under the right leadership of her boyfriend. Look him up, great guy. And so what you see is, wow, all of a sudden under the right leadership, you didn't shame her off OnlyFans. You didn't shame her out of cheating. You just had a good guy and it dropped off like a fucking scab. And now what you're seeing is guys that are such bitches. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying you personally, but you walk down the fucking street and you look, you're like, oh, men are good. Walk down the street, go to fucking Walmart, go to 7-Eleven, go to the gas station. If you were a woman with option, would you fuck those guys? You would just grab their cock and start sucking it and just have their balls hanging out of your fucking pussy? Would you do that if you're a woman with options? Would you? A girl like Nala, look at her personality, her energy, her charisma, her swagger, how awake she is. How many guys see on the street that would even be a match for that? And that is why, now that women have the same pay, or I guess it's all up for debate and different people have different takes, but it's like within a better range, and there's the internet, and slut shaming's gone, and it's not coming back because of all these different components that we go into, but the point is not coming back anytime soon. Well, as a result of that, guess what? They don't have to fuck a beta male anymore. It's over. It's done. Finished. Finito. Done. And basically, they often view most guys as creepy. But guess what else has happened because of the internet? You probably know that you don't have to work at the fucking Ford factory anymore, right? And Ford's like, oh, how come all these motherfuckers don't want to work at the diaper factory and the Johnson & Johnson factory and the 3M factory and get chemicals on them? How come they don't want to go into the cave and get black lung and see the canary die and sing a song about their death? Why don't they want to go hunt for crab or fish for crab in Alaska and fly over the side? How come they want to just go become an internet entrepreneur and sit there in fucking Bali on their laptop and have sex with hot women while drinking a fucking Mai Tai? Don't go to Bali with the Mai Tai and the hot girl. Get back in the coal mine factory. You don't care about your country, do you? You're bad. You're wrong. You know, Owen, leave your mansion, leave your seminars, go back to working at the Toyota factory and put on the fucking metal door. No, I'm not. Hello, internet. Goodbye, Toyota factory. Well, guess what? Hello, internet. Goodbye, beta males. Hello, internet. Goodbye, people that work a bullshit job. It's over. Bye. Finished. And guess what? It's 2024. In 2017, I made a video, you look it up, sitting in front of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I started bringing up the topic of Instagram, container events, and the direction society was going. And I said that we're gonna come back in 7-8 years, and we are fucked, except the people who get it that are gonna crush harder than ever. And I predicted, and lo and behold, podcast, fuck a beta, Nala. We called it. It was all called in advance. In the same way that I knew to go onto YouTube, in the same way that I knew that Blueprint would be the shit, Blueprint Reloaded would be the shit, Hot Seat would be the shit, I knew this industry would be the shit, I knew cancel culture was coming, I knew everything, all of it. I even predicted lockdown. How? Because I have the eyes to see. So, me and Sid are sitting here, right? And we're like, we're at a fork in the road, Sid. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should go watch a podcast and tell them to fuck betas. Yeah. Or maybe we could consider where they're coming from and find a win-win and date everybody. Yeah, or maybe build a business. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You could sit there and be bitter, or you can transcend that whole paradigm and actually win. And guess what? Yes, you exert energy. Yes, it might hurt in the beginning. But once you have that value, you'll be in so much flow. You won't even care for any of this conversation because you'll be too busy enjoying your spoils and your dating life. You won't even care to think about any of this anymore because you're just winning. And when you're winning, you're in flow, you're in the moment. You don't even have time to complain about Nala or anybody else. You don't even have time to shame anybody else. You don't have time to even think about any of this stuff because you are winning.
I mean, imagine Dan Bilzerian just watching that going, I don't like this. Yeah. Okay, so now that's individually, right? But maybe there's something that rubs you the wrong way collectively. Maybe you feel that collectively you don't like the direction of society. So what I would ask you is this. Is this going to be solved at the level of shame? Okay, it's going to be solved at the level of shame. And there's going to be a resurgence of the beta male. Okay, the beta male is making a comeback. Okay. No, the beta male is not making a comeback. That was a bubble that existed that's done. And so now where we're at is this. And let me talk real, this is real talk. Why can my 11-year-old son run a seminar? Why is my 11-year-old son more confident than a group of grown men? How come every single person around me can do public speaking and be confident? It's not that hard. Like, look at all the time we spend being pissed when we could just go win in about 5% of the time. Complaining takes time. It's a lot of mental energy, a lot of time watching the latest podcast that we're mad about. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of viewing commitment. I mean, that podcast she was on was 7 hours.
That beta male paradigm fundamentally is a paradigm of control. That's what it really is. And the reason his son can public speak at a young age, the reason that there's higher paradigms out there is it's a paradigm of release.
Yeah, so you can say to yourself, I'm going to try to control. Wish for the beta male a revival. Wish that Owen would go back and work in the coal mine. The internet is here. That's over, okay? So maybe there'll be some return to that. I don't know. But I don't even see, again, Nala doing OnlyFans, cheating, et cetera, meets the right guy, quits OnlyFans, becomes monogamous, goes back in the church, gets baptized, and calms down. If better men, and again, I'm not trying to be like CNN here, shaming the men, but try to follow that. Okay, here's a subtle point. If I say it's the men's fault, I sound like another CNN pundit blaming the men. So in some ways at the surface, that looks like blaming the men on shit, not having the women have responsibility, blaming it on the men, blaming it on the men, blaming it on the men like CNN. But what I would say to you is another way of looking at it. If in any way, shape, or form you blame a woman for anything, at least in regard to that general area, what have they really done to you? What's really happened? If I get to a point that I'm blaming a woman for my life circumstance, barring it's not some kind of like really freaky like collective attack or something, but like if I'm blaming some individual woman for my life, okay, barring that it's not some like fake ass crazy shit, how bad have I fucked up? You see what I'm saying? So in some ways it would look like blame the men, like Jake Tapper shit, but in another way it's like, why have they got you to the point that you don't believe that you have agency and power? And why don't you take this as a calling where you've seen our content over the years, right? And a simple example would be we do vocal exercises, right? And how many videos have you seen from us where we're bringing guys up and they're not using their voice properly? How many of these guys have watched 50 videos from us showing vocal, arrive at the event, and still don't know how to use their voice properly? Well, then at that point, like, should they really be reproducing at that point if they watch 50 videos or something and couldn't make the change? Now, look, I'm here to help you with that. I'm not trying to shame you about it. But at a certain point, it's like, could you just open up your voice a little bit? Could you just watch like a half-hour frame control video? Could you just watch a little bit on free associating and sense of humor? Could you just watch a little bit on leading and maybe learn to be a better leader, which you'd be happier anyway? Like, wouldn't that be faster? So what I'm saying is you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. And so given that we're not putting that genie back in the bottle, look, it's not that every guy in the world misses whatever fake reality that probably didn't even exist, but from the 50s, wife, kid, picket fence, things just kind of made sense. I get that. We all miss that. But unless we're going to actually in some way go back to that, we've got to move forward from this. And so again, what I'd ask you is, if you were a woman, would you want to fuck a beta? If you're a woman, would you want to fuck a guy that can't lead you? If you're taking, and again, maybe you're going to say yes. Okay. As a man, do I want to go work in a coal mine? As a man, do I want to go work at an auto repair shop? When I understand that the internet exists? No, I don't. I'm really, really sorry. I'd love to do that to collectively help the world, but no, I'm not. And I'm not going backwards. And in the same way, I'm not going to ask someone else to go backwards and limit their opportunities. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a win-win. So if I've been blessed to have people spend into 9 figures with my business. Well, if that's the case, I didn't do that by complaining and shaming people into spending that with me. I did that by saying, how do I make a win for you? So I didn't selfishly make it about me. I said I want to make it about you, but I didn't make it about you by pandering you. I made it about you by providing leadership. Look, I was on the phone today with a huge celebrity, mega famous guy that I've followed for years. And I'm trying to help him with his marketing. And if this thing pops off, it's going to be beyond insane, right? And at one point, he was saying some shit that I don't think is serving him. And I said, bro, you need to shut the fuck up. It blurted out. I was like, did I just say that to like this guy that I've been watching for years that is like mega famous? I'm looking up to, like, this is insane. Literally, this guy could walk away with a $100 million deal. And I told him to shut the fuck up. And he was so appreciative that he was going on the wrong track, and I helped him to move forward, that he was like right away talking about how we got to work together. And he's got the creme de la creme, like the best people that he's been talking to that like, I'm like, wow, he wants to work with me. Good choice, I think, to be honest. But it's because I'm willing to say, shut the fuck up. So it's not me going, like that. He's got everybody going, like that. But the one guy that says, yo, that's on some dumb shit, that really is dumb, by the way, not just faking it, but authentically, and doing so from a place of service, and good to go, right? That's how you create a connection. That was the moment that we created the connection. So by adding value to someone else, like if you go inside Blueprint Reloaded, that's not about me going like, you're so great, you're so perfect, just be a fucking idiot, just be a fucking moron, just be a fucking loser, and I'll indulge all of it. No, you go in there, I say, we're gonna step up, we're gonna raise the fucking standard, and we're going to the promised land. If you're not coming, you're out. And then you're like, I want to be a part of that. That's leadership. That is how we go together to the promised land. That's why you join. Make sure you get in there. I will blow your fucking mind. That is real leadership. So I'm trying to get you to understand what somebody else is dealing with so that really the purpose of this video should just called how to stop being so fucking bitter. And I felt bitterness, Sid's felt bitterness, we've all felt bitterness. Maybe you could leave off on any ideas, just the idea of transcending bitterness. And then we're gonna come back in 2 days time, in 48 hours, and we're gonna go leadership, and we're gonna show you all the how-to.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe transcending bitterness is about first banging your head against the wall for a while and realizing that it's getting you nowhere. So somebody had an RAS flip on you, it deeply disturbed you, yet you had your dark night of the soul, and then you come into acceptance that this is human nature and this is just nature in general. This is the way the DNA works. And if I go against the DNA, I get bad results. If I go, if I do the right things and I build myself up, then I get the results that I want. And it's a deep acceptance of that. Whether you got to go out in the woods and do a pilgrimage or a vision quest to come to that point of acceptance, whether you got to set 10 days in silent meditation and vipassana to come to the acceptance, you got to find a way to come into acceptance with it. That is the key. And it's first you get hurt, then you come into acceptance, then you build yourself up, and then you're winning, and then you stop caring in general. And as you said before, what hill do you want to die on? Unless you're going to reform the tax system, or unless you're going to, change culture, get on the side of the winners. Get on the side of the people that are going to get results by building themselves up.
Yeah, and what I would say to you is I think the last couple resistance points are, one, you feel like you're enabling bad behavior. I understand that. And two, you feel like it's also too hard and not worth it. Understand, trying to get me to go back in a coal mine is not, and saying, oh, Owen, don't live your life. That's not you enabling me if you're happy for me. I would never want a daughter of mine to be the fucking beta male. Never. Okay? Never in a million fucking years. I would never wish for a sister of mine, a daughter of mine, or any female friend that I have to be the fucking beta male. Never. That's not a good guy. Beta males are not good guys. Beta males are bad guys because they're disengaged and they're fucking selfish because they're not thinking about how to add value to others, okay? I didn't do all the sales that I did by not adding value to others. I built my business with a lot of return business and happy people and word of mouth by adding value to people. So a beta male is just someone that doesn't add a lot of value. And then the other thing is that it's effortless. When I run a seminar, I'm not sitting there paranoid about enforcing boundaries and kicking people out. People that hold the frame too tight are actually fucking also beta males and also losers. Look, we've all got our pocket of being beta, but that's control freak, as Sid said. And they say it's too hard. No, frame control and leading, once you have it dialed in, is a joy, because in the same way that you're maybe giving charity, in the same way that you're lighting up someone's day, being a leader should be natural and effortless. But the problem is, when we keep going back to wanting to put our mouth on the titty of the unconditional love and all that, we spend too much time fixating on that and not looking at real leadership and adding value to others. And look, once you get this down, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna have more options than you know what to deal with. They're all gonna wanna be loyal to you. They're all gonna wanna be wife material for you. Your staff are people that are gonna wanna be with you for life. You're gonna have a hard time even knowing how to even accommodate all these people that wanna work with you for the rest of your life and not fuck you over. The opposite will occur, and you will see loyalty and ride or die in spades. And why? Because it wasn't just about your selfish, lazy desires, but you also thought about how to make it about them too. You included them in your vision rather than just being paranoid that you couldn't be lazy and that you could have that beta male addiction enabled. So are you enabling them, or are you asking for them to enable you? And again, if an 11-year-old could learn how to run a seminar better than a group of adults, it's really just because he embraced how easy it is. Embrace how easy it is to learn this stuff. Like, it's not hard to learn social skills, frame control, leadership. It's the only thing holding you back is that A, is that you think it's hard, and B, that you want to be on that titty of just having it handed to you. But once you just sever that and you say, I want to add to people and I want to make the world better, the whole problem goes away and you'll solve it in 2-3 days, maybe a week. So any other final thoughts? That pretty much what I want to say.
It's all about shifting into momentum. That's all it is. You have to get into momentum. In the beginning, as he says, the exertion is hard, but do whatever it takes. Throw mud at the wall till something sticks. Take baby steps. Persist to get off your mama's breast milk. To just kind of, the initial exertion is hard, but once you're winning, once that winner effect is kicking in a gear, things will get effortless, and you'll be able to exert leverage effortlessly and naturally. And that's the paradigm that we are trying to get you to.
Yeah, it's going to be effortless. It's going to be fun. You're going to expand. You're going to see how easy it is. In the next video, we're going to go deep on leadership. You're going to know exactly what to do. We got you. And you're going to wonder why you spent so much time worrying about this when you could have been looking how to go to a next level and iteration in your life. Okay, so thank you very much. Get inside Blueprint Reloaded, www.blueprintreloaded.com. I'll see you inside of there. You want to talk about Amazing Reality Portal? I'll see you inside. We're going to go very, very deep on this journey, learning a lot of techniques, exercises, and get around other like-minded people that are smashing it and raising the vibe. See you inside Blueprint Reloaded. Thanks for being here. Peace.